The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, is being redrawn not just on maps, but in the real world. From its inception, the $60 billion initiative has functioned as a flagship of China's Belt and Road Initiative, seeking to connect Western China to Pakistan's Gwadar port. But now a new country is being offered a seat at this high table, Afghanistan. This week, the foreign ministers of China, Pakistan, and Afghanistan met in Beijing, and they decided to extend the CPEC project into Afghanistan. This would have profound implications for India. From a purely logistical standpoint, Afghanistan offers China and Pakistan three things: location, access, and geopolitical influence. Sitting at the heart of the Eurasian crossroads, Afghanistan provides the shortest overland route between Central Asia and the Arabian Sea. That is where China and Pakistan are jointly building the Gwadar port. For Pakistan, the inclusion of Afghanistan strengthens the narrative that Gwadar is a gateway not just for China's western provinces, but also for Central Asia's energy-rich landlocked countries. It also allows Islamabad to portray the CPEC as a pan-regional initiative, not just a bilateral project between Islamabad and Beijing. For Afghanistan, the benefits of joining CPEC are simple and manifold. Afghanistan's economy has been shattered by years of war. Ever since the Taliban took over in August of 2021, foreign aid has evaporated from the country, banking channels remain frozen, and the emirate is now locked out of all global financial institutions. So, infrastructure investment through the CPEC offers the promise of roads, energy, railway, and consequently employment for the local Afghan people. Desperation is what is making the Taliban more amenable to Chinese terms. And China, as you always know, prefers to have client states. And what better client state than the Taliban and the Emirate of Afghanistan? For India, the corridors and the route that it takes through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, which is POK, is a red line. India has called this illegal. It is protested at every international forum that is possible. Now, with the Taliban eager for investment and China seeking new routes to Central Asia, CPEC expanding into Afghanistan is not just a pipe dream, it is a reality that is unfolding right in India's neighborhood. So why does this matter, and why should India pay attention to this story? Because Afghanistan is not just another neighbor of India. At the heart of Asia, it sits at the crossroads of culture and commerce. It's also a country with which India shares deep civilizational ties. India's investments in Afghan schools, hospitals, other building infrastructure, even the parliament complex has been built by India. All of these cannot be seen as acts of charity or overseas development assistance. These were bets that India took on a stable, independent Afghanistan. While India is yet to officially and diplomatically recognize the Taliban and the Taliban government, Foreign Affairs Minister Jaishankar held a long telephone call recently with the Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi. Afghanistan also supported India unequivocally after the Pahalgam terror attack and even condemned Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. But the new trilateral that is emerging between China, Pakistan, and the Taliban threatens to sideline India. It threatens to rewrite the rules of regional engagement. Now, the logic behind CPEC's Afghan extension is simple. For China, Afghanistan offers a land bridge to Central Asia and a shortcut to the mineral riches that Afghanistan has: lithium, copper, other rare earth minerals, all of which are essential to make the world's semiconductors. For Pakistan, it's a chance to transform Gwadar into a true gateway port, linking the Arabian Sea to the markets of Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and beyond Central Asia. On a map, you can see how CPEC's extension into Afghanistan is not just a question of rerouting the existing alignments. This is a complete expansion. Already, multiple studies have explored connecting the Peshawar-Kabul corridor, the Quetta and Kandahar route, and even the strategic Wakhan corridor that goes all the way into Xinjiang. In recent months, Chinese and Pakistani officials have publicly floated ideas of new road and rail lines which crisscross the Durand line. But beneath the surface, the risks are extreme. CPEC's western routes run through Balochistan, which is a province that is ridden with insurgency and resentment. For years now, Baloch separatists have targeted Chinese engineers and Pakistani soldiers. They see the corridor as a symbol of exploitation. Islamabad claims that CPEC will bring prosperity to this region, but the reality is the Baloch people don't trust the Pakistani state or the Pakistani army. Without genuine political cooperation and local Baloch participation, more of these roads and pipelines may just fuel further cycles of violence. Then there is the question of sovereignty. India's opposition to CPEC is rooted in a principle that no project which legitimizes Pakistan's hold over Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, or POK, is acceptable to India. By drawing the Taliban into a China-led economic initiative, this new CPEC further entrenches the status quo around Kashmir. It also signals a shift in Kabul's foreign policy away from its traditional ties with India and towards a more transactional relationship with both Beijing and Islamabad. What does that mean for India's own regional ambitions? For years now, New Delhi has been championing the Chabahar port in Iran as an alternative route to Central Asia. Chabahar was supposed to be India's answer to Gwadar, a way to bypass Pakistan and assert India's regional autonomy. But US sanctions on Iran over the last number of years have stalled the Chabahar project. Now, with Washington showing signs of a thaw with Tehran, multiple rounds of nuclear talks happening between Washington and Tehran, there is talk of reviving Chabahar yet again. But time is running out. If the CPEC Afghanistan extension succeeds, then the Central Asian trade routes may well be set for decades to come, and India risks being left out on the sidelines. Some in Delhi have been arguing that the answer to this is to double down on Chabahar, to invest more, to move faster, to offer Central Asia a genuine alternative to Chinese expansionism. Others say a more pragmatic approach needs to be taken, and that is to engage with the Taliban, find some common ground with Beijing, and seek a place for India in this new regional order. Both of these paths carry their own risks. The first could possibly provoke Beijing and Islamabad if India continues to double down on Chabahar and use Iran, the United States, and Central Asian republics to press its own case. The second, which is to co-opt the Taliban and to negotiate with China, may undermine India's principled stand on Kashmir. What is clear is that India cannot afford to be a bystander. The maps being drawn today will shape the future of the region for decades to come. If India does nothing, it risks giving away not just its influence, but also its agency, and that too in its own backyard. That would not just be a tragedy, it would be a tragedy for the idea of a plural, open, and connected Asia. But there are steps India can take. First, as some suggest, Delhi must revive Chabahar with both urgency and imagination. This means working with Iran, the United States, the Central Asian republics to make Chabahar a real alternative, not just a diplomatic talking point. Reviving Chabahar and integrating it into the International North-South Transport Corridor, INSTC, could actually offer a genuine counterweight to the China-Pakistan-Afghanistan axis. Second, India must also vigorously engage with the Taliban to protect India's interests and investments in Afghanistan. And third, India must work with like-minded countries, whether it's Japan, the European Union, even Russia, to offer the region a vision of connectivity which is open, transparent, and respectful of each other's sovereignty. Above all, infrastructure is not just about roads and ports and airports. It is about ideas and values and the kind of region that India wants to build in Central Asia. Today, as these new corridors are emerging, this trilateral between Afghanistan, Pakistan, and China, India's vision, India's voice should not be lost in this din of great power rivalry. Both America and China must pay attention to New Delhi.